Welcome into Candlestick Chronicles, a 49ers podcast on the Blue Wire Podcast Network. I'm Kyle Madson. I write about the 49ers over at NinersWire.com, part of the USA Today Sports Media Group. As always, alongside me is one of the top 5 million Jay-Z fans in the world, Chris Biderman.
Thank you so much. What a distinction that is.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Of all the Jay-Z fans in the world, you rank among them for sure. Before we're going to talk about some 49er schedule stuff. The schedule is not out yet, but we are going to draft the best games on the schedule. Opponents, the best opponents on the schedule. We don't know what the games are yet. Like I said, the schedule's not out.
But before the games that are going to be the most interesting.
That pique our interest.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. But before we do that, let's talk about Lamb Chops, the official clothing brand of Candlestick Chronicles. It is comfortable. It's high quality. They've got their spring line out now. There's this mechanics jacket that's light blue. It's so sick. There's some cargo pants. There's a new t-shirt. There's a new hoodie out. It's all going to be high quality. It's all going to be super comfortable. And most importantly, it's going to look super dope. And that's the most important thing.
I'm almost to the point where I don't feel comfortable recording a podcast if I'm not wearing something Lamb Chops related, just purely from a comfort perspective. I'm wearing the sweat shorts in May with it being 80s and 90s outside, and you got the air conditioning going. You can't beat them. You really can't beat them. And then when you are actually going outside, the mesh shorts, you have the drawstring, you have the zippered pockets, just extremely comfortable, extremely practical, looks great. So shout outs to our friends at Lamb Chops. Tough scene a little bit the last two games for the Timberwolves. Lamb Chops, of course, have partnered to make some really, really awesome gear with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Lost 2 straight to the Nuggets, but you know what? This is going to be a long series. I still like their chances.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like they're overmatched. Chris Finch is one of the best coaches in the NBA. He'll make an adjustment. Our boys are going to be just fine. SGLambchops.com is the website. Use promo code Candlestick20 for 20% off your order today. We are also sponsored by Prize Picks. I've got a Prize Pick going as we speak. They had a special. In fact, I believe they still have a special for Caitlin Clark's regular season debut in the WNBA. You can get Caitlin Clark more or less half a point. I'm really confident that she's going to score a basket in her regular season WNBA debut. So Prize Picks is daily fantasy. You pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and then you watch the winnings pile up. And when things like Caitlin Clark, half a point are there, that's an easy dub for you with your entry. So I've got that. I need a bucket from Lou Dort, Chris. I badly need a bucket from Lou Dort. I've been NBA playoffs, Major League Baseball, WNBA, NHL playoff. I'm mixing and matching with my entries, and that's why I love daily fantasy, because I don't have to adhere to one sport.
It doesn't look like Josh Giddey is helping Lou Dort's case for getting a bucket. He was just called for an offensive foul on a screen trying to do a DHO with our guy Lou, and it didn't work out. So
just brutal.
Maybe Mark Dagnall will finally get Josh Giddey off the floor, and OKC will start playing better, but TBD.
Fingers crossed for my guy Lou. So you can play along. Go to prizepicks.com/candlestick. Use promo code Candlestick for a first deposit match up to $100. That is prizepicks.com/candlestick. Promo code Candlestick for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks Daily Fantasy has been enhancing my sports watching experience all spring, and will continue to do so into the summer and, of course, into football season as well. So I hope you play along. Again, that's prizepicks.com/candlestick. Promo code Candlestick for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks Daily Fantasy Sports made easy. All right, let's talk about the 49ers' best games ahead on their schedule. All right, so this is one of those really vague things where we're just going to kind of make it up as we go along. Mm-hmm. Because we were going to pick the games we thought would be primetime games. But then we couldn't decide, is it a prediction or the games we would pick in primetime? So now we're just going to draft the best games on the schedule, the games we think are going to be the best.
If we were television executives tossing around millions of dollars for the rights to any specific 49er games, these are the games that we would prioritize for our viewers and for our advertisers, most importantly, and our shareholders. But we're just basically going to go through the Niners opponents, and with the schedule coming out on Wednesday, just do a draft. We're channeling Bill Simmons here, just drafting random things, and we're just going to draft the possible games that we like the best. And then when the schedule comes out later this week, we'll have a podcast reacting to that too. But we'll start by showing what we have here in terms of, I remember how to do this.
Sorry, it's 8:30 at night, and there's somebody at my door, and they're not going away.
That's fun. I say you ignore him. Unless it gets super weird.
Well, that's the fact that he's just standing there is super weird. I don't like it.
Okay. You got the Ring app?
Yeah. Still standing there.
At least you can have eyes on him.
Still standing there. Yeah, that's going to be my focus right now, guys. Sorry. Go ahead, Chris.
All right. So the 49ers this year, in addition to their traditional schedule against the NFC West, they have the NFC North, which is a really interesting time to have the NFC North and the AFC East, which is also always an interesting division. Maybe a little bit less so because Tom Brady's no longer there, but there are plenty of interesting teams in the AFC East also. So are you ready?
No, this is a problem. I'll be right back.
Okay. All right. Kyle's got someone at the door. We definitely don't want any sketch things happening over there. So it is going to be me. Maybe we'll this is going great. Okay. So I think the first thing that stands out to me about the 49ers opponents that they have, there are a lot of teams that have been in the NFC playoffs, or even, but all three teams the Niners played in the playoffs last year are on their schedule in 2024, which is pretty fun. You have a game against the Lions, you have a game against the Packers, and obviously you have the game against the Kansas City Chiefs. And then on top of it, you have the AFC East, which includes some question marks. You have the two out of the three rookie quarterbacks on the schedule in Drake May with New England and Caleb Williams with the Chicago Bears, which could be an interesting game. And we know Chicago is potentially a really interesting team given all the offensive talent they're surrounding Caleb Williams with potentially. What's up, dude?
Guys. I'm back.
I was just mentioning the things that stood out about the 49ers opponents, that they have all three of their playoff opponents from last year on the schedule.
Yep.
And they have two of the three rookie quarterbacks who went early in the first round on the schedule. And that to me is really the highlight, on top of, I think, the Dolphins game is really interesting. Buffalo game, obviously really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
A Super Bowl rematch with the Chiefs is really interesting. Although the last time they played in the regular season, or the last two times they've played in the regular season, has not been particularly interesting, at least from the 49ers perspective. And Cowboys, always interesting. If you look at the schedule, there isn't really, maybe Tampa Bay, maybe Minnesota.
I think Tampa Bay is going to be good. I think Tampa's going to be pretty good.
But I'm just trying to find what opponents are not that interesting, and they're kind of all interesting. It's kind of just like banger after banger after
I have one that's not that interesting.
Okay.
The Dallas Cowboys, because the Niners are going to kick the shit out of them.
Okay.
We have a pretty good sample size of how the Kyle Shanahan Mike McCarthy matchup goes. So that one's not on pins and needles for that joint.
That's true. I just think I'm inclined to think, as long as they're both good.
No, they're two of the best teams in the NFC with the historical backing too. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just the thing that stands out. It's just banger after banger. It's maybe and obviously as seasons go on, injuries happen, teams are end up not being very good. Maybe Arizona's going to stink, but I kind of think Arizona's going to be one of these teams that could make a significant jump.
I agree.
They get Kyler Murray healthy. If Marvin Harrison Jr. Plays well as a rookie, like I think they could potentially make a jump. Rams are always good, like they're always in the mix. Like the worst team. Who's the worst team that the 49ers have on their schedule, in your opinion? Because I think it's the Patriots.
It's got to be the Pats.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Is it Pats 1, like Seahawks 2? Arizona 2, maybe?
I think right now Arizona 2, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if Arizona was like a team hovering around 500 and sort of in the wild card mix, at least into December. Like that wouldn't surprise me. Minnesota
has pretty bad potential depending on how their quarterback situation shakes out.
Yeah.
New York, not a big if Aaron Rodgers isn't banged up. I mean, or if he is banged up, that could be a little one-sided, but yeah, not a lot of like, oh yeah, chalk that up right now as a W for sure.
Okay, so for the listeners who can't see the graphic we have up on our live video, we have Arizona Cardinals, Chicago Bears, Dallas Cowboys, Detroit Lions, Kansas City Chiefs, Los Angeles Rams, New England Patriots, New York Jets, Arizona Cardinals, Buffalo Bills, Green Bay Packers, or at the Green Bay Packers, at the Rams, at the Miami Dolphins, at the Minnesota Vikings, at the Seahawks, at Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then home for the Seahawks again. So,
hey, what? Oh, it doesn't. I guess that's home and and then road. Never mind. We're good.
Yeah. So
I was going to say, what if this is how their schedule went, but it won't.
Then whoever runs fbschedules.com will I'll hit them up to see if they got a leak. If they got a leak from the league. But no, all right. So we're just going to draft games that we think are the most interesting, that we think should have the biggest audience.
How many games are we doing? 3 each?
Yeah, let's just do 3 each.
Okay, great.
They're not going to have more than 6 primetime games. So
right, yeah. The other thing I want to throw in here, are you going to pick Minnesota as one of yours?
So we can go hang out with Craig?
No. I mean, that'd be tight, but there's a chance that game's in England. And if that's at Tottenham Stadium in London, then that becomes interesting. But we don't know about that.
Yeah. Possibly. Why don't you pick first?
Well,
we'll go under the premise that for now the Minnesota game is going to be in Minneapolis proper.
Okay. I'm going to go with my first one. I'm going to go Buffalo. That game is in Buffalo. And Chris, you still get to talk about it. We get to converse about this together. No, the Buffalo game, I'm fascinated to see because they have just consistently been one of the best teams in the AFC for each of the last, 4 or 5 years. And the last time the 49ers faced them was in the pandemic season. It was a 49ers home game that got played in Arizona. And Josh Allen just mopped the floor with the 49ers defense, or whatever version of the 49ers defense they were rolling out in 2020. So I'm really excited to see how the 49ers stack up against them now. And it's going to be a little bit different Bills team. They had to get rid of a bunch of guys because of some cap problems, but it's still Josh Allen. It's still the big mobile quarterback the 49ers have kind of struggled with. And I'm really interested to juxtapose that game against what we saw in 2020 when Allen just kind of shredded them at will.
Yeah. I think the game being at Buffalo makes it compounds how interesting it is, right? I think there's a potential that this is a game that maybe the schedule makers look at and make it late in the season, like they did sort of with that Ravens game that was on Christmas last year. Just say these are 2 teams that we think are going to be good. We think this would be an awesome game to feature in a big moment late in the year, maybe Christmas or whenever. And Buffalo that time of year, obviously extremely cold. We don't really have a great grasp for how Brock Purdy plays in inclement weather. We know how he's played in the rain, and it hasn't been
Mhm.
awesome. Maybe with the exception of did it rain in that Philadelphia game last year
No,
when the Niners went and mollywhopped the Eagles? So no,
I
not
don't
really.
think so.
So I mean, maybe if we get some snow, it'll be some inclement weather. But yeah, that would have been my first pick. Full disclosure, just because I think Niners Chiefs doesn't have as much luster. I mean, obviously for Niners fans, like they're kind of sick of Patrick Mahomes at this point,
Sure.
and like the last time the Niners went to KC, the Chiefs routed them. That was when Jimmy Garoppolo tore his ACL. And when the Chiefs came to Levi's Stadium last, I believe it was 2021,
Hmm.
and the Chiefs completely thumped the Niners. The Niners ended up bouncing back after that was Christian McCaffrey's first game. That's right.
Yes.
Um,
Week 7.
2022.
Hmm.
Anyway, I just don't think because we've seen the Niners and Chiefs play so many times and because it's been a little lopsided, I would say Buffalo is the more interesting game right now. So
Yeah,
I think that's a good first overall pick by you. I hope that's a game in prime time in December. I think that would be a lot of fun.
I agree.
I
It
know my
reminds
friends.
me of. Sorry, what?
No, I was just going to say, I know my friends who cover the team probably wouldn't want a primetime game in December in
Mm.
Buffalo, but I think for the enjoyment of fans everywhere, I think that would be a really good spot for a primetime game.
Yeah, no doubt. It has a vibe of the game at Foxborough in 2012. Like it could have that kind of gravity to it, where it's Sunday Night Football, it's snowing, it's cold, it's two teams jockeying for the number one seed in their respective conference. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
If it is that.
All
Again,
right.
the schedule hasn't come out yet.
My first overall pick at the Packers. I think, or my first pick, second overall pick. At the Packers, I'm a sucker for Lambeau. I think Lambeau is the best stadium in the NFL, and I don't find it particularly close. It's just such a unique experience going to Lambeau, and there's not a ton of unique experiences in the league. It's not like baseball where all baseball ballparks are also different and distinctive. NFL football stadiums are all kind of the same these days.
Yep.
And Lambeau stands out as one of those that still has history, all the cool things you can do in and around the stadium from a fan's perspective, but it's also just like has the potential to be an incredible game. Like
Yep.
Jordan Love might be one of the next great quarterbacks in the league. He took a huge leap last year in his first full season starting. The Packers put a scare into the Niners in the playoffs. I think the Niners are clearly the better team, but the Packers were really young last year. And I just think going to Green Bay, two marquee franchises, there are going to be a ton of eyeballs in that game. That'll be one of those games that gets like 50 million viewers no matter when it is during the season.
Yep.
And I think it's just going to be a great game and one of the best games on the Niners schedule.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. Like Green Bay, and maybe the Packers are one of those teams that has that ascension and then really falls off the next year as teams get tape on them and start to figure things out. But I'm inclined to believe right now that they are just kind of on the rise. The way they developed throughout the course of last year, it wasn't like they hit the ground running and had the league on its heels. They really struggled until the last like 5-6 weeks and then into the playoffs. I think Matt LaFleur is a heck of a coach, and I think that's a really, really talented group of players they have over there. So I'm with you, man. Anytime there's a game at Lambeau, it feels like there's a little extra gravity. And Green Bay might be one of those teams that we're talking about as a contender in the NFC North to start the year, but they might be one of those teams that by the end of the year they're in the mix for that number one seed if they continue the ascension that they were on last year.
The Niners are getting the NFC North at a very fascinating time, right? Because you have the Packers seemingly on a come up, you have the Lions seemingly on a come up, you have Caleb Williams playing his rookie season, and you have whatever Minnesota's doing with JJ McCarthy, which also bears monitoring. But like if that's your worst team in the division, like a team that's been to the playoffs like the Vikings have, and like have a decent roster and a rookie quarterback. Like that's I don't know. NFC North is fascinating to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. There could, if you could tell me, I think you could tell me any team won that division and I would buy it. I don't think there's any team that you could say that team won the NFC North and I would be like, no chance. Like if you told me the Arizona Cardinals won the NFC West, I'd be like, the Panthers won the NFC South. Like, no. But with the NFC North, I think they're all interesting. I don't know if they'll all be good, but on paper, as we sit right now in mid-May, I think they're all going to be fascinating.
Yeah. Chicago's for sure fascinating.
Man.
Particularly when put it against the Packers and Lions.
Yeah. A lot of high hopes. In Chicago right now. Okay. My second pick.
Yep.
Maybe I'm overthinking this. But do you know who finished number 3 in defensive DVOA last year?
Defensive DVOA.
Number 3 in defensive DVOA, tied for first in yards per play allowed, finished 12th in the league in points allowed, and 3rd in the league in yards allowed.
Well, it's somebody on this. Was it the Jets?
It was the New York Football Jets. So you don't even have to factor in the Aaron Rodgers aspect of this, which is obviously a interesting thing in itself for pick a reason. I can't wait to see the Robert Saleh, Kyle Shanahan matchup. That's a really, really good Jets defense that even if Aaron Rodgers isn't himself or not playing, that's going to be a dangerous game. It's at Levi Stadium. I can't wait to see. I love seeing the 49ers offense go up against top flight defenses. And I'm really, really excited to see how they play against a Jets defense that could very easily be the best in the league this year.
Yeah, and the Jets got Mike Williams from the Chargers. I know he's been hurt, but when he's healthy, he's a really interesting player. Garrett Wilson, potential star. They drafted Olu Fashanu. I don't really think Tyron Smith is like some amazing addition, but he should be an upgrade at left tackle for them. And they signed Morgan Moses, the former Ravens player. They should be better on that side of the ball. One super underrated aspect of this, and you mentioned their defense and how good it was. It's going to be the return of Mook Dog. It's going to be Javon Kinlaw.
I'd forgotten about that.
Coming back to his old stomping grounds. Maybe he'll make a stop in the media room on the way out, say what's up to some of his friends in the media room. But no, I think
hopefully nobody wears any hats.
I think it's the Jets are a very interesting team because they are loaded. They're really good defensively, like you said. I think Robert Saleh's gotten kind of a bad rap. He's been forced to sort of devour a shit sandwich with the quarterback situation being what it was last year with Aaron Rodgers getting hurt. But they have Tyrod Taylor now as their backup quarterback, so they at least have a little bit of an upgrade over Zach Wilson. At least you sort of know what you're getting. But no, I think the Jets are a fascinating team. They're definitely one of the more interesting teams in the league because you could see them either like contending for a Super Bowl or looking for a head coach in the offseason. Like it could
seriously.
go either way.
It's crazy. All right. Who's your second pick?
I'm gonna go at the. Ooh, this is tough, actually.
Do it.
You know what? I'm gonna go Miami Dolphins.
Come on.
Mike LaFleur, Kyle Shanahan. That's gonna be written about a lot.
Mike LaFleur
or Mike McDaniels.
There you go. Dude, the Mats and the Mikes and the Mix and the Laws, just insane.
Oh God,
Too many.
It's a Lombardi, it's a Kubiak, it's a LaFleur, it's a McDaniel.
And
It's just all
Slowick.
incestuous at this point. No, but I just Mike McDaniel running that offense, Raheem Mostert, I'm kind of fascinated to see the Niners go up against Raheem Mostert and that speed. Because we've seen it a lot in training camp, and it's obvious training camp's obviously very different than a game situation, but like the speed plays, like Raheem Mostert speed plays, and the 49ers fans have obviously seen it, but they've never gone against it. And obviously the Niners have a history with Tyreek Hill as well. Tua Tagovailoa, we'll see what his contract status is going to be going forward. That'll obviously be something worth paying attention to because I think there are some similarities between him and Brock Purdy. Maybe we talk about that later in the week. The fact that Jared Goff got a new contract and talk about what that means for Brock Purdy. But it looks like Brock Purdy getting $50 million, which you talked about, $50 million a year, which you talked about in the pod last week, isn't crazy.
Might be 60.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. No, but I just think that Miami game is going to be super fun, super interesting. It's on the road. It's a long flight. So I would, if hopefully it would be kind of lame if that was like a 10 a.m. game, right? Like I think that game with those two head coaches and those two offenses, that deserves prime time. Like that should be a Monday night game, right? Like it's Sunday night feels like it should be like I would say Niners Packers or Niners Bills feels like a Sunday night game, and like Miami feels like just like a tier below that, and maybe that's like a Monday night game. That's typically what they do.
Yeah, the Dolphins are interesting for the same reason the Jets are interesting, but the other side of the ball.
Sure.
Former 49ers assistant whose specialty is offense or defense is really lighting it up. Yeah, that'll be fun. And the first time, remember Mike McDaniel and the Dolphins played the Niners. The Niners gave up a touchdown on the first play of the game and then stuffed him in a locker for the next 59 minutes. So that'll be a really, really fun matchup, I think. And I think Miami's going to be pretty good again this year. So
wasn't that Brock Purdy's first game?
Yes, Jimmy got hurt.
Extended action. That's when Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt.
Yep. Yeah, I believe it was Jalen Phillips rolled up on his foot. Yeah. Anyways, I like that. Good pick by you. That would have been my pick if you didn't. All right, so there's 3 games left that stick out to me, that like really stick out, which means one of them is going to get left off, and we're going to talk about it anyway. So I'm taking the Chicago Bears.
Wow. Yeah,
man. I can't wait to watch Caleb Williams. That's the start and end of it. I don't think it's going to be a primetime game. I think that's got big 1:05 p.m. energy when Dallas is playing the Eagles on the national 125 game. But I just can't wait to see what Caleb Williams looks like in the NFL. I can't wait to see what that Bears offense looks like now that they have Keenan Allen and DJ Moore, and then they drafted Rome Odunze. I'm enthralled by what the Bears have going, because for the first time ever, the Bears might just have like a guy who's a top 5 quarterback. Maybe not today or by whenever the 49ers play them, maybe not this year, but I'm like everybody else who's high on Caleb Williams, and I can't wait to see the 49ers play against him.
The Bears have a history of, they have a very interesting history, right? Like they have Soldier Field, they have, the 85 defense, they have Dick Butkus and Mike Singletary and Brian Urlacher.
Mm-hmm.
They have no good quarterbacks in their history.
Legitimately, it's like
Jay Cutler might be the best quarterback they've ever had.
Yeah, Jim McMahon, who won the Super Bowl. And then you've got to go back to pre-merger to find anyone else.
So the fact that they have a dude
Sid
who
Luckman.
The fact they have a dude who might be a legitimate star is an insane development. Also, the Bears, Chicago's one of the biggest markets in the country, and a lot they have 2 baseball teams. but they only have one football team. Like if Chicago became a contender, like that would be massive for the league.
Oh.
And a Niners Bears game, like say the Bears started off like 10-2 or something, and then they played the Niners in early December or whenever that game would be.
Yeah.
That would be sick, and that would draw huge numbers.
It'd be so fun. It'd be so fun.
So, okay. You left some intriguing.
Yeah, there's two that really jump out to me.
I mean, I can't even believe. I don't think I'm gonna pick the Chiefs because I don't.
Yeah,
we've
no,
seen
it's
that
not
movie
it's,
before,
mm-hmm.
and if it's not the Super Bowl, I'm not nearly as interested in
I'm
it.
right there with you.
I'm not picking the Cowboys because the Niners have dominated the Cowboys, and we've seen Dak Prescott come to Levi's Stadium plenty of times before.
Yep, know how that movie ends. It's the same reason that we're not picking the Chiefs. It's just the opposite with the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Do it.
I think I have to pick the Lions game.
Yeah, you're damn right you do.
The Lions, I'm really interested to see whether the Lions are a team that can replicate what they did last year, or if they're going to be a team that takes that huge leap and then goes into the season with super high expectations and then kind of comes back to earth a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But they do have really, really talented players at really premium positions, a lot like the Niners do.
Yeah.
So I think the Lions like probably will have staying power, but I just think like what happened in the NFC Championship game, they gave the 49ers like real problems, right?
Yeah, like major problems.
those were real problems. Like Jamison Williams is an issue. Amon-Ra St. Brown is an issue. They have a really good offensive line with two really good tackles,
a good pass rush.
Guys, obviously a good pass rush. They took one of the best cornerbacks in the draft in Terrion Arnold in the first round. They have Brian Branch coming back for a second season. It was really, really good.
Yeah.
They got Carlton Davis from Tampa, which feels like a really nice pickup for them.
Yep.
I just think like, I don't know, they're gonna be a team that deals with a lot of hype coming into the season, but I think the hype is warranted.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, right? Like sometimes there are teams where it's like the Eagles last year, it was like, all right, they went to the Super Bowl the year before. There's a ton of hype, but like, is it replicable? Are they going to be the same team? And the Eagles weren't really worth the hype last year because they kind of fell off.
Yeah.
I think the Lions could be teetering on that, but I think I like the Lions going into this season more than I liked Philadelphia going into last season, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, 1,000%. It definitely makes sense. What the Lions are doing feels like it's really sustainable. Like there's a mindset there that I think transcends talent a little bit. That is just going to make them a really tough out regardless. We'll see if they regret paying Jared Goff or not. We'll see if that kind of puts a cap on what they can do as a team. But with their ability to get downhill and to run the football, I think that's going to just be a problem for San Francisco. I think it's just, even if the 49ers are better in a vacuum, I think it's just a tough matchup for them. So I can't wait. I'm way more looking forward to that one to see how that game goes than I am the Kansas City game.
They kind of feel like the 2019 Niners.
A little bit.
Like,
a little bit.
I think you can make a comparison between Jimmy G and Jared Goff. You remember, like, Jimmy Garoppolo was pretty good in 2019
you could obviously particularly in the second half of the year.
You can obviously draw the comparisons to Sam Laporta and George Kittle at those points in their careers. Obviously the receivers are different, but like Jamison Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown, good running game. Aiden Hutchinson and Nick Bosa, right? Two white guys who wear number 97. Clearly the same guys.
Sure. I also think there's go ahead.
There's similar teams. Like what made the 49ers good in 2019 is kind of similar to what makes the Lions good in 2024.
Yeah, and to that point, I think the Niners would have been a really interesting team late in 2018. if Jimmy Garoppolo hadn't gotten hurt. It
Yeah,
just
that's true.
they always play better in November and December under Kyle Shanahan, and maybe they would have been like the Lions. Maybe they would have gone 10-6 and snuck into the playoffs had Jimmy G stayed healthy.
No.
Hmm.
Okay, so we got our 6 best games, which don't include the Kansas City Chiefs and Dallas Cowboys or Chicago Bears.
No, they do include the
It does-
Chicago Bears. Thank you very much.
You did include the Chicago Bears. Sorry. You took the Buffalo Bills
Yep.
in Buffalo.
Yep.
I took the Packers at Lambeau.
Mm-hmm.
You took the Jets in Santa Clara.
Yep.
I took the Dolphins in Miami.
Yep.
You took the Bears in Santa Clara, and I took the Lions in Santa Clara. Those are our 6 most interesting games that somehow don't include the Cowboys and another Super Bowl rematch against the Chiefs.
Because for the same reasons, those games have not been super interesting. Or I'm sorry, that's not true. Those games have been interesting, but the outcome has been the same for all of them. So if the Cowboys beat the 49ers, if the 49ers beat the Chiefs, then, great. But for now, I want to see these other matchups that we haven't seen as much of. And I know somebody will, sit there and go, oh, they play Green Bay all the time. But, not this version of Green Bay. Last year was training wheels Packers just kind of figuring their way through the league. They might be really freaking good this year. So,
yeah,
I'm excited. That's where I'm at.
I think this
Lou
is a
Dort.
really
Lou Dort got my points, by the way.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Go on.
Shout out to you. Shout out to Lou.
Yeah.
The NBA player most reminiscent of Dre Greenlaw, in my opinion.
Yo, that's a great summer episode.
In terms of play style. Oh, NBA play like Niners as NBA players?
Yeah, dude.
Okay. Yeah.
I want you to know you're going to talk right now, but I'm not. This is going to occupy all my brain space now.
All right. Well, we will have a reaction podcast to the Niners schedule coming out later in the week.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the Niners schedule, there are no games where you're like, meh. It's all good games.
Yeah.
Legitimately all good. If Arizona's good, then those are 2 good games. If the Patriots show some semblance of competency, then that's not. I mean, maybe that's the easiest game on the schedule, but still, it's Drake Mayo's rookie season. It's Gerard Mayo in his first year as coach.
Mm-hmm.
That'll at least be interesting. Other than the Patriots game, it feels like 16 potential bangers, honestly.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. And obviously, like you said, injuries and stuff happen, and players wind up not being very good who we thought would be good, and the schedule will even itself out a little bit. But looking today on May 13th, I'm right there, man. I think there's going to be a lot of good games. I'm wondering, they have at Buffalo, Miami, and Tampa. Those are their East Coast games. I doubt they would do Miami and Tampa back to back, unless they, just because they typically do that to start the year. And I don't know if you'd want to play Miami and Tampa in early September, because it'd be so hot. But I kind of wonder if they do wind up playing in London, if they'll play one of those East Coast games and then go to London from there.
Yeah, that would make sense. The Niners do, for whatever, maybe they have a good relationship with the NFL front office and the schedule makers, but it does seem like the 49ers, with the exception of playing on literally every holiday last year, throughout the years since they've opened Levi's, that they've been they've had some relatively decent schedule breaks.
Yeah.
I know last year, actually, I take that back. Last year, because we talked about over the summer after the schedule came out last year, they got completely screwed by the rest disadvantage that they had. They had the worst rest disadvantage in the league.
Yeah.
They still got the number 1 seed. So that was a disadvantage.
But they were out of gas by the time the Super Bowl came.
Oh, interesting. You think the Niners lost the Super Bowl because they had the rest disadvantage for the vast majority of their games?
That's what many are saying, yeah.
Wow. That is a take I haven't thought about yet. That's strong. That's strong on your part. Okay. We will react. Let's go now, and then we'll react to the schedule coming out later in the week. And Yeah,
Can't wait.
I like their opponents. I'm pumped the Niners get the NFC North teams and the AFC East teams and the
Yeah, me
Chiefs. The
too.
Chiefs are kind of that random throw-in
The Super Bowl matchup,
game.
random throwing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be like Christmas. I can't wait.
Yeah. All right. We will talk to you guys
No,
later in the
hey,
week.
hang on. We just did 40 minutes and we didn't mention rookie minicamp.
There are conflicting reports about whether Ricky Pearsall is good or bad.
I guess we'll have to wait until he plays in games to see.
I mean, here's the thing. So having as someone who's been to rookie minicamp before, I didn't go to this last week's rookie minicamp. There's very little.
You were real broken up about it.
There's very little to actually take away, and if a rookie looks over his skis, it doesn't necessarily mean the rookie's going to suck. And if a rookie looked awesome at rookie minicamp, it doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be an all-pro. I think what's important when it comes to tracking these guys is like, what trajectory are they on? Are they getting better? Are they getting first team reps? In Ricky Pearsall's case, is he getting a lot of touches in practice? Is the chemistry with Brock Purdy developing, right? Like, Brock Purdy's not out there throwing passes at rookie minicamp. So it's Tanner Mordecai learning the offense,
That's
throwing on air. Like, it's, I'm not going to get wrapped up. I know it's a big deal because it's the only thing we have when it comes to the rookies and evaluating them so far. But like, somebody tell me what Deebo Samuel looked like in rookie minicamp. I was there and I have no recollection. Someone tell me what Brandon Ayuk looked like. Someone tell me what,
just doesn't matter.
like,
none of it matters.
It doesn't matter. So
go watch Dan Orlovsky and who's the Mizzou cat who was in the league for a million years as a backup, Chase Daniel. They both did videos that showed a NFL playbook and they went through like the things that how teams do installs. It is just an insane amount of information. And the first install is rookie minicamp, where they just throw the playbook at the rookies and they're like, yeah, learn this and then we'll bring it to the field. It's silly. Yeah.
So look, I get it. The content game is always gonna win. So
yeah,
that's what this is about. Anyway, we'll see you guys later in the week.
We're above that.
Yeah, we're super above the content game as we create content on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. We appreciate everyone hanging out.
One of the most interesting games.
We appreciate everyone hanging out on YouTube and X, formerly Twitter. We will talk to you guys later in the week when the schedule comes out. Until then, see ya.